Hey, so today I am here with another mini vlog episode. Um, we are going to do manga and comics. I thought this would be a nice one to talk about. I've seen people doing their top fives and their top tens, and I just don't think I could do that because I love all of this too much. So let's hop in and let's start discussing some of the things about it, what they mean to me, and how I stumbled across them as well. So um, let's roll back a bit into my past. Obviously, these things will come up as part of the little get to know Geeky Nate story that I'm doing as well. But let's have a quick chat about more of the emotional impact and that of these things. So. Starting off, I think, is in the comics. So, comics are a thing that I've stumbled across when I was, 8? Yeah, 8. We were on holiday in Somerset, and I walked into this little, well, actually, no, that's a lie. Comics I started encountering at 6, but that was, like the comics at the end of the newspapers, that kind of stuff. There was Sonic the Comic, but I think that came out a little later. And so, yeah, at 8 is where I remember going into this little shop on the campsite where we were camping down in Somerset. And they had in there actual issues of Batman, of X-Men, of the Avengers, and I couldn't help myself. I saw these things, they looked amazing, and so, of course, I bought some issues, and the first issues I bought, I don't have anymore. Sadly, they all got sold when I moved to uni, so I just don't have them. Some of them went missing during moves. But yeah, X-Men was where I began. Uncanny X-Men to be precise. So, this kind of stuff. Now, this is later than what I'm talking about. But still, Uncanny X-Men ended up being what I started sinking my teeth into, and I bought a lot. They had quite a few issues there. So I more or less started to buy them out, happily consuming these. If you don't know the UK all that well, our summers are either what it is today, where it's extremely hot and just blisteringly uncomfortable, or it is raining really hard and it's really miserable. Well, most holidays were raining really hard and really miserable, so you're inside your tent, not really going out anywhere. So I would be there reading these comics, and I would read them, and I'd read them again and again. The Batman issue I had, I'm so sad that I lost that one, because this was a limited edition. It was a foil cover with holographic bits in it, and it was it Batman had died? I think it was. No, it was one where Batman had died. So it was a Batman and Robin comic, but it was just Robin. That's what I remember in there. Robin trying to find what the hell's happened to Batman. I never did get the completion to that story, but I loved the piece. It wasn't long either until I stumbled across Spider-Man, and Spider-Man became my second love. I didn't really have too much of an interest in Avengers at that time. I did like DC's Batman, and I did love Superman, but I don't know what it was, but there was something in X-Men at that age for me that it called to me. I guess, as you're going to find out, I felt really different to my family. I felt really different to the kids in school. I felt absolutely constantly like an outsider. And I guess in X-Men, what I saw was, in a way, an answer. I mean, I'm not a mutant. I would love to be a mutant. It would save a lot of things once I could start just being like, I'm not human. Job done. But it called to me, right? A few years after that, Pokemon makes its appearance in the UK, and this is where I begin absorbing a lot of anime. So obviously we get Pokemon, we get Dragon Ball Z, we get Cowboy Bebop, and yes, more of that. That was until our TV got disconnected and I had no access to it all. Our TV got disconnected the week before Goku became Super Saiyan for the first time. So imagine this, right? There I am, I'm watching this series, I'm loving this series, and there he is, he's on Namek. We've just seen basically everybody get annihilated. Goku get them off Namek, and he's going to go Super Saiyan. And then no, I never get to see it live on TV when it actually aired. So I eventually realized that we could find this stuff online, and I started binging again and enjoying that. And about a decade ago, I discovered some manga apps on the Android store, and that's where I started to read manga. I also, during my uni days, stumbled across Death Note, but I didn't stumble across the manga at first. I stumbled across the anime, loved the anime, realized it was a manga, went and bought the manga. So as you can see, I have all of the issues of Death Note. I also have the spin-off novel. Really recommend reading that. And no Death Note is complete. No Death Note collection is complete without actually having your own copy of the Death Note. So basically this led me to just falling in love with Oba and Abata. Amazing writers, amazing artists. That's why I have Bakuman right here. This is their second series. I highly recommend this one. This one is really cool. It's still a battle manga, but just like how Death Note is a battle manga, they're intelligent battle mangas. So in this one, they're competing to try and be the best mangakis. If you don't know what that term is, it's basically just a manga artist. And it's brilliant. Highly recommend that. Then I've got some just like random bits. These are good. Blackgate, for example, this is one that I would love to extend on a little bit more. The artwork is really good in here. That puts it there. And then, as you can probably see, we've got a bit of Sailor Moon down here. These are the wife. So she loved Sailor Moon, the anime, as a kid, and then I dragged her in to basically the mangas. There we go. And then she also got me the Legend of Zelda manga set. These are great. Highly recommend getting these if you have the chance. I don't have the Skyward Sword manga. I'm going to have to buy that myself. I've also discovered in my random wanderings that somebody created Shakespearean manga. These are really cool. And then my friends who went on holidays to Japan very nicely got me some Shonen Jump. And okay, I can't read Japanese, but just having these issues here in this form is just amazing. Absolutely, utterly amazing. And I just, it's just great. I love all of it. This was a great series. Absolutely great series there. Some of the series that I like reading: Hunter x Hunter, One Piece. I loved reading Naruto, Bleach, Monster. I am happily just carrying on with Berserk, Death Greyman. The list goes on. Honestly, the list goes on and on. I have the entire Studio Ghibli collection in anime form, and I keep happily rewatching those. So I don't know. It's like, when it comes to comics, Marvel is my place to go. When it comes to manga, Jump. It's always Jump. Tokyo Pop and that do have pretty good ones, but I know Jump is going to supply what I want. So I'd always go there. But the cool thing with all of this is these have led me to do my own artwork. Let me show you a preview of Tree Boy and Shroom Kid. So here is like a rough sketch. This is Poacher Bob, who is running away from something in the forest. We don't like poachers. So that was like page 1 initially. There is another redraft of it. And then we've got a little bit more on the storyboard. And then eventually he gets caught by this beast. Now, none of this is truly complete. And I've gone back and back and back, and I've had issues and concerns about parts. But that was the last bit I did. So this is properly inked and all the rest of it. And I liked where I got to with it. But sadly, when I showed it to somebody, they gave a comment, and it just put me off. And I haven't really got back to it. But I also want to. So I want to like rehone my skill and try and do better. So what is the idea of this story? So what this was one that me and one of my old work colleagues had written up. And the idea here is essentially bringing a mix of the Western superhero with the manga, with the Eastern manga, Eastern fight manga. So the excessive, ludicrous build-ups with the other stylings that come from the hero complex. So Poacher Bob is basically trying to escape some horrid nightmare, big tree monster. And that's where we basically kick off the first few pages of the one-shot. You then basically see the beast, wide screen across the forest. You can see the nearby city, and you just see the scream, and you've got birds flying out of the forest. And then clips to a kid rushing to get out to school. He's running late, gets to school, meets up with his friend. They are dissecting frogs, and the kids basically have a plan to save all the frogs. So they set off a fire alarm, knowing though that by setting off the alarm without a fire, they're going to get in trouble. They actually create a fire. So they're a little worse. But, you know, they collect all the frogs up. They make their escape with the frogs. They set all the frogs free in the forest. What you then discover with this boy basically is very nature focused. He loves nature. And he finds animals in traps. He sets them free, so on and so forth. What this leads to is he gets caught by Poacher Bob and a few other poachers. And they shoot him. And that's when he dies. He meets a tree spirit who offers to bring him back to life, but he will not be able to go back to his original life, because now he's going to be one of the forest spirits, connected to the forest, and that is that. And so basically he agrees, he wants to live again. He gains part of the tree spirit's power, meets other tree spirits, including Shroom Kid, who is a walking, talking mushroom boy. I do have like a very early design of Shroom Kid. Like hilarious. His pouches contain various different mushroom spores, can do all kinds of different effects. But he is a child, an absolute full-on child, so he relies on Tree Boy to be his like focus and keep him in line. Basically, when Tree Boy wakes up, part of his face is now tree bark. So think like a bit like Groot. And what he finds is as he gets angry and upset, that bark spreads further. He eventually encounters Poacher Bob, and that's how you get that chase scene in the forest where well, it seems like he's killed Poacher Bob. What you end up discovering is in his full form, he eventually takes control, calms down, and Poacher Bob runs away in absolute fear. But the other poachers are now warned about this thing. So the whole idea would be, and then that's basically how we could go into a whole season around the poachers against the tree spirits. But from there, you then get to see Tree Boy's actual funeral. You see his parents, his younger brother. They're all standing there. They're crying. And then you cut to the final scene where you see one of the tree spirits, a ninja, and she's talking to, all you will see is basically shadow and a pair of eyes. And that's where we cut. So basically, it leaves you with enough questions to want more, and then what our idea of the first season is basically dealing with the poachers while this other darker thing is happening, and will get revealed at the end of the first season of issues, which I don't remember how many we were going to make for each of them, but that was our idea. We had planned out basically 6 story arcs for it, and it would have been fun, but he moved to Japan and is busy, and I don't know how to get back the inspiration at the moment. But yeah, I thought I would share that with you anyway. Basically, manga showed me a way to tell stories of an interesting way. They connected with me on a new way that the comics didn't. But the comics themselves, when they connected with me, they gave me a place of safety and of understanding, and they taught me a lot with growing up. And so they're very important pieces of art inside our communities, and they are very important to getting the best out of children and producing the best adults that you can get. And it's very key, and I think this is very key. When I say children, I actually mean teenagers. Comic books should not be read by 8-year-olds unless they're a lot more mature. There's actually a lot of dark themes in comics and manga that I think adults just don't realize because of the artwork and that. They just think it's more for kids, but there is some real deep stuff. So I'm going to warn you all, double and triple check before you decide that it's good to give your child. There are child versions of a lot of the comics, their own little spins without the big deep story arcs, which they can consume initially before coming on to the big stuff when they've got a more mature mind. They deal with death, they deal with sexuality, they deal with gender politics, they deal with racism, they deal with current political climates. They deal with quite a lot of stuff that you need a more mature mind for, in my opinion. But that's from my point of view. The older comics, the stuff in the 60s, it was a little bit tamer, but still, I mean, come on, Captain America was beating Nazis, and that was the core focus. That was a bit more easy to consume compared to today's deeper stuff. But I like that it's deep. It's very important that it's deep to me. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about the comics, manga. What are some of the series you're reading? What are you enjoying at the moment? And how have comics impacted you? How has manga impacted you and your life and your upbringing? I think these are very important things for us to talk about. So please share in the comments below. And until next time, keep it geeky.